If you want to make more money, I need to tell you an uncomfortable truth. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's not a lack of talent. And it's almost never a lack of starting capital. It's a lack of discipline. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history, started from nothing. The son of a poor weaver in Scotland, he worked in a factory while still a child. He wasn't born rich. He didn't inherit a fortune. He built it. And what separated Carnegie from thousands of other men living in the same reality? A level of discipline that few people have the courage to apply. Most people want multiplication without preparation, growth without structure, results without process. But Carnegie understood something simple and powerful. Money is a consequence of a disciplined mental pattern. He didn't waste energy on distractions. He didn't give in to impulses. He didn't make decisions based on emotion. He studied, analyzed, observed trends, made calculated decisions, and repeated processes with consistency. While others chased fast money, he chased control. Control over time. Control over habits. Control over decisions. And here's the point few accept. Discipline hurts. It hurts to wake up early when no one is watching. It hurts to study while others rest. It hurts to say no to immediate pleasures. It hurts to save money when you want to spend it. It hurts to invest when everyone else is afraid. But that pain is what creates multiplication. Carnegie understood that wealth is not born from one lucky strike. It is born from the disciplined repetition of intelligent decisions. He invested where there was structural growth. He reinvested profits. He eliminated waste. He hired people better than himself. He delegated strategically. He built systems. And here is the brutal difference. Most people work for money. Carnegie made money work for him. But that only happens when you develop a disciplined mindset strong enough to think long-term. Financial discipline means spending less than you earn, even when you could spend more. Strategic discipline means staying focused on one direction, even when shiny shortcuts appear. Emotional discipline means staying calm when the market panics. Few people apply this because discipline is invisible at the beginning. There is no applause, no recognition, no social validation. You only see the results years later. And that is the real test. Carnegie didn't become rich overnight. He built his fortune in steel, reinvesting, expanding, acquiring competitors, negotiating with a long-term vision. He thought decades ahead. While many asked, "How much will I make this month?" he asked, "What position does this put me in 10 years from now?" The discipline that multiplies money is long-term discipline. It is learning before investing, planning before acting, building before harvesting, waiting when everyone is rushing, acting when everyone is frozen. Most people want financial freedom, but they don't want to give up immediate freedom. Carnegie gave up short-term comfort to gain permanent control. He understood that wealth is a mathematical construction, right habits plus time plus consistency. And here is something even deeper. Discipline is not about endless willpower. It's about structure. He created routines, clear goals, surrounded himself with competent people, focused on efficiency, turned smart decisions into automatic patterns. You don't multiply money with motivation. You multiply money with systems. And systems require discipline. Discipline to track finances. Discipline to reinvest profits. Discipline to study the market. Discipline to improve constantly. Carnegie wasn't just ambitious. He was methodical. Most people fail because they want intensity without consistency. You can work hard for 1 month. But can you maintain a standard for 10 years? That's what multiplies. The discipline that multiplies money isn't glamorous. It's repetitive, strategic, silent, and perhaps the most important point, it requires total responsibility. No blaming the government. No blaming the economy. No blaming competitors. Carnegie took responsibility for his decisions. He learned from mistakes. He adjusted strategies. He kept going. That mindset can transform any reality. If you apply this discipline today, control spending, invest strategically, study daily, improve your core skill, build assets, you begin planning something that grows exponentially. But almost no one has the courage to do it long enough. Because the truth is simple and hard, discipline isn't exciting. It's effective. And money respects consistency. If you want multiplication, stop looking for shortcuts and start building patterns. Ask yourself, which financial habits are sabotaging your growth? Where are you choosing immediate pleasure over future expansion? Do you have a plan or just hope? Andrew Carnegie proved that origin does not define destiny, but discipline defines results. And maybe the question that truly matters is this: do you want to look rich now, or actually become rich? If you choose the second option, get ready. Because the discipline that multiplies money is the same one that almost no one has the courage to apply. Because when you start applying this discipline for real, something changes inside you. It's not just the money that grows. It's your standard. Andrew Carnegie understood that wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in a bank account. He knew that the greatest asset a person can develop is not a company, not a factory, not an investment. It is the ability to make rational decisions under pressure. Think about it. How many people lose money not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack emotional control? They buy in euphoria. They sell in fear. They spend to impress. They invest without studying. They quit too early. Carnegie acted differently. When everyone was overly excited, he analyzed calmly. When everyone was afraid, he saw opportunity. He didn't react to the moment. He responded with strategy. This is the discipline that multiplies money, the discipline of not being dominated by the environment. And that takes courage. Courage to be the only one saving while everyone else is spending. Courage to study while others are distracted. Courage to invest when majority criticizes. Courage to wait when everyone wants immediate results. Carnegie didn't have social media to showcase success. He had reports, numbers, projections, and vision. He understood that money likes organization. Money likes predictability. Money likes strategy. If you are disorganized, impulsive, emotional, unstructured, money comes in and goes out. It doesn't stay. But when you create a disciplined structure, money begins to multiply because it finds a foundation to grow on. Carnegie believed deeply in specialization. He didn't try to do everything. He focused on what he mastered and hired specialists for the rest. And here is another discipline that few people apply: the discipline of recognizing limits. Ego is expensive. Many people fail because they want to prove they know everything. Carnegie grew because he knew how to build teams better than himself. He said his greatest skill was choosing the right people. That is strategic discipline. You need discipline to say, "I don't know enough yet." Discipline to learn before executing. Discipline to build alliances. Discipline to share results instead of demanding absolute control. And there is something even deeper in his story: long-term vision combined with daily execution. Many people dream big but act small. Others work hard but don't know where they are going. Carnegie had both. He knew the steel industry would be essential to the growth of the United States. He saw the industrial future before it was obvious. But he didn't stop at vision. He executed every day. He negotiated contracts, cut costs, reinvested profits, modernized processes, increased efficiency. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when it isn't exciting. And here's a point that changes the game. Multiplication is not linear. At first, it feels like nothing is happening. You save a little, invest a little, study a little, grow a little. But discipline creates a compounding effect. And when compounding starts to work, growth accelerates. Carnegie didn't get 1% richer per year. He built a solid base that, at a certain point, exploded exponentially. But no one sees the invisible years. Discipline is invisible until it becomes inevitable. And perhaps the biggest mistake people make is abandoning the process before the turning point. They save for 3 months and quit. They invest for a year and get discouraged. They study for a few weeks and stop. But multiplication requires persistence. Carnegie persisted, even when the market was unstable, even during crises, even when competitors tried to take him down. He understood that those who remain disciplined while others fluctuate build competitive advantage. Now think about your life. Where are you fluctuating? Where is consistency missing? Where do you start and not finish? The discipline that multiplies money begins with small daily decisions. Waking up at the planned time, meeting financial goals, tracking expenses, investing every month without exception, constantly studying your market, improving your main skill. It sounds simple, but simple, repeated over years, creates the extraordinary. Carnegie didn't seek immediate applause. He sought strategic position. He knew that when you build position, money follows as a consequence. And perhaps his greatest lesson is this: discipline is not restriction. It is future freedom. You discipline yourself today, so you won't depend tomorrow. You control spending today to gain power later. You invest today to harvest in the future. It is trading momentary comfort for permanent control. And few people do this because it requires maturity. It requires thinking like a builder, not a consumer. Most people think like consumers of their own lives. Carnegie thought like the architect of his own fortune. The question is, are you consuming your income, or are you building wealth? Are you living to look good today, or to be strong tomorrow? Because the discipline that multiplies money requires you to tolerate the discomfort of looking small while becoming great. It requires working in silence while building something solid. It requires saying no many times so you can say yes when it truly matters. And in the end, money is only the reflection. What truly grows is your capacity, your clarity, your control, your vision, your authority. Andrew Carnegie started poor. He ended as one of the richest men on the planet. But his true wealth wasn't only in steel. It was in the unshakable discipline he built over a lifetime. And if you apply that same mindset, even starting from zero, you create a trajectory few people ever reach. Not because it's impossible, but because few have the courage to remain disciplined long enough for multiplication to happen. Here is the English translation, faithful to the tone and structure of the original. If Andrew Carnegie were starting today from zero with no connections, no significant capital, but with access to the same information you have, he wouldn't begin by trying to look big. He would begin by building a foundation. First, mastery of a high-value skill. Carnegie wasn't just a businessman. He deeply understood the industry he operated in. He studied the market, understood logistics, costs, efficiency, contracts. He knew more than the average person. Today, that means choosing a skill that generates income and becoming obsessively good at it. Not reasonable, not average, specialist level. Discipline here means studying every day, even when there's no immediate return, even when no one is recognizing it. Second, absolute financial control. Carnegie reinvested. He didn't treat profit as a reward. He treated it as fuel. Most people earn more and raise their lifestyle. He earned more and increased productive capacity. If you want multiplication, you must decide, will every increase in income create more consumption or more assets? Practical financial discipline means defining a fixed percentage for investment, building a reserve before expanding lifestyle, eliminating debts that drain cash flow, tracking income and expenses monthly. It's not complex, but it requires consistency. Third, strategic focus. Carnegie didn't jump from opportunity to opportunity. He consolidated position. Today, the greatest enemy of multiplication is dispersion. One month you want to invest. The next, start a business. Then change industries. Then test another strategy. Without depth, there is no scale. Strategic discipline is choosing one direction and going deep for years. Fourth, environment. Carnegie surrounded himself with intelligent, technical, strategic people. He didn't build alone. If you spend time with people who normalize financial mediocrity, impulsive consumption, and disorganization, your discipline weakens. Environment shapes standards. Discipline also means choosing who you walk with. Fifth, documented long-term vision. Carnegie thought in decades. You need to write 5 and 10-year goals. Not just desires, structure. How much do you want to earn? How many assets do you want to own? What net worth do you want to build? What market position do you want to occupy? Discipline is reviewing this monthly. Without a clear vision, every distraction looks like an opportunity. Now let's talk about the hardest point. Emotional self-control. Multiplication requires psychological stability. You'll see others growing fast. You'll feel comparison. You'll feel anxiety. You'll feel doubt. Carnegie went through severe economic crises. He didn't make decisions in panic. Practical emotional discipline means not investing out of euphoria, not selling out of fear, not abandoning a plan because of comparison, not spending for validation. Whoever controls emotions controls financial results. And there is an even deeper level of discipline that almost no one talks about. The discipline of learning from numbers. Carnegie was obsessed with efficiency. He tracked cost per ton, productivity, margins. Today, that means tracking metrics. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to know your acquisition cost, net margin, cash flow. If you're an investor, you need to understand real returns, risk, and allocation. Discipline is looking at numbers even when they reveal mistakes. Many people avoid numbers because they expose flaws. But flaws that are seen can be corrected. Flaws that are ignored destroy wealth. Now imagine applying all of this for 12 months. 12 months of daily study, disciplined investing, expense control, focus on one skill, strategic environment, metric tracking, monthly goal review. You won't get rich in a year, but you will become unrecognizable. And here is the hidden secret. Multiplication doesn't start with money. It starts with identity. When you become disciplined, your capacity to generate income increases. Your credibility increases. Your clarity increases. Your decision-making improves. Money begins to trust you. Yes, money requires trust. If you are unstable, it leaves. If you are organized, it stays. If you are strategic, it grows. Andrew Carnegie didn't build a fortune just because he worked hard. Millions worked hard. He built it because he combined work with strategy, vision, and relentless discipline. And perhaps the final question is this. Are you willing to endure 3 to 5 years of silent construction? No applause. No showing off. No external validation. Because it is in this invisible period that multiplication is born. Few have the courage to apply this discipline because it requires maturity. But if you apply it, if you persist, if you adjust without quitting, the compounding effect becomes inevitable. And when it happens, people call it luck. But you'll know, it wasn't luck. It was discipline. Here is the English translation, faithful to the original meaning, tone, and intensity. And when that discipline begins to produce results, something curious happens. The people who once doubted start asking what the secret was, what the miracle investment was, who the right contact was, what the hidden opportunity was. But there was no miracle. There was repetition. There were ordinary days, small decisions, silent adjustments. Andrew Carnegie did not build an empire with a single great decision. He built it with thousands of correct decisions accumulated over time. And here is the conclusion that almost no one has the courage to accept. Multiplying money is not an event. It is a behavior. It's not about making a lot once. It's about earning in a growing and sustainable way. It's not about winning a bet. It's about reducing mistakes and repeating what works. Carnegie understood that real wealth is built like a steel structure, piece by piece, calculation by calculation, reinforcement by reinforcement. You don't see the foundation when you look at the building, but it is what holds everything up. Discipline is the foundation. Without it, any growth is fragile. With it, any growth becomes scalable. And there is one final level of this discipline that transforms everything: purpose. Toward the end of his life, Carnegie dedicated much of his fortune to philanthropy. He funded libraries, universities, and cultural centers. He believed that the man who dies rich dies disgraced. He didn't want only to accumulate. He wanted to create impact. When money has purpose, discipline gains meaning. Because you're not just building wealth. You're building influence, legacy, impact. And that changes the game. When you connect financial discipline to a greater purpose, you last longer. You withstand more pressure. You stay focused when results take time. Now think honestly. If 10 years from now you still have the same habits you have today, what will your financial result be? And if you decide today to apply real, non-negotiable strategic discipline, where could you be? The difference is not in the market. It's not in the economy. It's not in the government. It's in the standard you accept for yourself. The discipline that multiplies money is silent, strategic, and unpopular. It requires you to receive less applause now, show off less now, be more strategic now, be more patient now. But in return, it gives you something few ever achieve: real freedom, freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of position, freedom from dependence. Andrew Carnegie proved that origin does not define limits, but discipline defines trajectory. You can keep chasing exciting shortcuts, shiny opportunities, and fast promises, or you can choose the less glamorous, but inevitably powerful path: disciplined construction. Because in the end, money doesn't respect intention. It respects pattern. And the final question that remains is simple, direct, and non-negotiable. Do you want temporary results or permanent multiplication? If you choose multiplication, accept the price: daily discipline, conscious decisions, long-term thinking, unshakable consistency. Few have the courage to apply it, but those who do build something no one can take away. And that is the true power of the discipline that multiplies money.